foot techniques provide a way to score a full point with a direct technique, a way to counter an attack, and a way to use the foot techniques as an entry mechanism to a combination of a number of techniques. So particularly for youngsters coming up, I think it's important to start every class with a number of drills. I'm sure that you all know the ashi waza drill here. This is de ashi barai, if you will. Then you get them going 2 or 3 steps this way, 2 or 3 steps this way. And since we're on Zoom, I think a lot of students can learn these techniques and at home practice them in front of a mirror. The more you practice these techniques, obviously, the more reflexive they become. And the more reflexive and reactionary they become, the more effective and dynamic they are. So that's one move. Next is a kouchigari drill. I almost stepped off the mat. You step straight back and you sweep straight back this way. And what I used to do in the dojo is use these drills as a warm-up. So there are 2. The next thing I teach is a tsubami gaishi drill, where you step to the side, you slide your foot, you bring it up and bring it around. Step to the side, slide your foot, bring it up and bring it around. So that in front of a mirror, you can see that this works rather well. The next thing I do is, with a partner, have them rock back and forth. Then one sweeps and the other one sweeps. I sweep, someone sweeps. I sweep, someone sweeps. I sweep, someone sweeps. I sweep, and I tsubami gaishi. I sweep, I tsubami gaishi. I sweep, I tsubami gaishi. So that these movements, if practiced hundreds, literally thousands of times, become very, very automatic. The next thing I do without a partner is I turn my foot in, and what I'm going to do is a sasai tsurikoni ashi from the right grip. So I step in here and I block. I come out, I step in, turning my foot this way so that I don't get countered, pulling here and block. Step, block. Step, block. Step, block. The next thing I like to get into is a rounding motion for kouchigari, where I step to the rear, sweep, come back to the front, step to the rear, sweep, come back to the front. And again, if you practice this enough, just becomes automatic. So that is a broad set of warm-up activities that you can do in your dojos, and with a lot of people, you can have them doing a semi-randori with the tsubami gaishi, where one attacks with an ashi waza and the other does a tsubami gaishi, and vice versa, in a moving randori type situation, first starting in slow motion, then picking up the pace a bit. The next thing that happens is we move into combinations. So off of a back kouchigari here, I want to come back with an ouchigari. So I come kouchi, ouchi, kouchi, ouchi, and you do that on both sides. The entry into a lefty ponsioi off of a kouchigari attack is quite useful because you can attack the opposite side. So from a right grip, I step back, my opponent steps forward, I do the kouchigari. Didn't work, he caught his balance, but I step out and I pull him this way so he's tilted off balance. I go in for a lefty ponsioi. So that's another standalone drill that they can do. If they're left-handed, they reverse it. So I step back, kouchi, come out, and go in lefty ponsioi. The direct attack with a kouchigari where you step in and hit the kouchigari and an ouchigari, this way and this way. From here, I can't do it now, but you can hook the leg, turn and spin into an uchimata. Another drill that I like to have people do is, again, from like a right stance, step to the side and spin. Left stance, step to the side and spin. So this spin, I'm having difficulty with this now. If I get thrown, call it pole, okay? So from here, you can step to the side here, cock this leg this way. I'm not going to spin because this thing moves. Spin into either a surikomigoshi or an uchimata. So to begin with, simply having the student step and spin low, step, spin low, step, spin higher, step, spin even higher. And as you pivot around, you can get into an uchimata, haraigoshi, hanegoshi, whatever you want to call it. Now, one of the advantages of this is that when the opponent sees you doing your spinning uchimata or spinning harai, whatever, they will block it. They'll step in to block it. So as you come in here and you start to spin, they're going to step forward to block your foot, so you can't get in. At this point, you do a kaishi waza, and I don't remember what that's called. Anyway, you fake the spin this way, and as he steps forward, you sweep his legs out from under him. Another useful drill is this stepping in with the sasai. You can step in with the sasai on the inside of his 2 feet, and he may block it. So you step back out. This time you go in as if you're going to do a sasai, except you come through. It's hard to do this without an opponent, isn't it? You come through with no soto guard. So you block with the sasai, and you come in with an osoto. So there are a number of counter techniques also that you can do with Uchimata, with ashi waza, that are very useful. I'm going to turn my back and pretend that somebody's coming in on me with a Tayotoshi. So as they come in with a Tayotoshi, I step over the Tayotoshi with my foot directed towards his chest. I've now got him chest to chest, and I go Kosotogake. Okay, so he comes in on me with a Tayotoshi. I step over his leg, and I do a Kosotogake. So those are some drills that can be practiced in front of a mirror without an opponent. And what I used to do is use those techniques as a way of warming up and then partnering with a partner to practice them in a semi-movement type situation. On my Facebook page, there's a shot that was taken at camp in New York. And Joan Love and I are doing one of these drills. So if you get your students involved with these simple motions to begin with, and then start moving them around in a dynamic fashion, eventually during randori sessions, these things will become natural. And after they work for about 5 to 10 years, and they do a couple of 100,000 of these things, they'll become automatic. There's another aspect to these foot techniques that's kind of interesting, actually. And, all of you are mostly senseis, so you know this. They also have self-defense capability. On the street, if an attacker is coming at you and you hit him with a kouchi and ochi and you drop him on the back of his head, he's not going to attack you again. If you hit the guy, you block a punch or something, and you do an osotogari and drop him on the back of his head, he's not going to attack you again. Now, the nice thing about doing these activities as a self-defense, I would recommend after you knock him down, run like hell. That's what I would do anyway. Get out of the way. But those are several drills that I've demonstrated at camps. And I think that in this Zoom environment, we can have classes where the students practice 20 or 30 reps of each of these activities, or build up even to 100 repetitions of these activities, and you'll end up getting quite a workout. So you have ashibarai, kouchigari, ouchigari, combination kouchi into iponsioi, a tayotoshi counter with a gake, a switch, pivoting, spinning into an ichimata. The guy thinks you're going to continue with the uchimata. He steps forward. You come back with a gake. You can do a sasai tsurikomi ashi move, shift your hip, go into an osotogari. So those are doable without a partner, and when they get back into the dojo, it'll make a lot more sense for them when they finally get to have hands-on in a practice environment.
Sensei,
Yes.
Jim. There's 53 people here, and raising hands and asking questions might be problematic, but let's give it a shot. Let me ask this: would anyone like to see Sensei demonstrate one of the drills he did slower or in more detail? Speak up.
I was very interested in the Tayotoshi step around to Kochigake.
Okay,
I was really curious about that.
Okay.
Is it like Gake instead of Gare because you're gonna have to be closer, or just is that just you don't really have the space to do like a foot sweep, so you have to get close?
Yeah, you're going to be very close. All right. The guy comes in for the Tayotoshi here. This is the Tayotoshi. In order to go with the momentum of the Tayotoshi, you come around the front of him and face him chest to chest here. So there's no sweeping involved. You have to do a gake on this leg and take this leg out. Does that help?
Okay. So.
Okay, go ahead.
He comes in for the Tayotoshi. I step over and gake and knock him down. There's another foot technique called a skosh that I didn't discuss. If you see a person doing a direct entry into an uchimata, he comes straight in for uchimata. Before his leg engages, which is about right here, all you have to do is step to the side and come back with a Tayotoshi. So if he's coming in for uchimata, I can just step to the side, his leg goes up in the air, and I can do my Tayotoshi on him. That's another combination that could be quite useful.
Sensei, several people in the chat have asked if this is being recorded. Well, the answer is we hope so. This is our first shot through, and I believe I'm recording it. The plan is that we will post it on the Facebook page, the address to it. We'll put it on YouTube, and it will be available. One way or another, we're going to give it a try. If not, hopefully Sensei Bregman, we can sit individually and re-record this in the days to come. So yes, we're trying to record it. We hope so. We'll notify you on Facebook. Thank you. Anyone else have a question for Sensei?
Okay, there's another activity that you can try and do, and that is when you come in for an osotogari. You're here. Typically, when I do an osotogari, I turn my foot in this way. Many people do osotogari with their foot this way. I feel this is more dangerous because I don't have the driving capability. I want the driving capability going the direction of my foot so I have the power off of my leg. So I come in for an osotogari, and the guy blocks me with his hip. So now I'm stuck. This is not an uncommon occurrence. People get into this back and forth on osotogari trying to throw the other person, and he's trying to counter you with osotogari. Rather than get into a muscle match with a guy, use some judo, drop your center of gravity, and shift your hip. That's going to throw him back on his heel. And then when he goes back on his heel, you gake him out that way. So that's another foot technique. Can anybody think of any other foot techniques that they'd like to see?
No.
That's a pretty robust set of activity.
Well,
Is there
yeah, go ahead, please.
is there kind of a haraisu? Sorry, drawing a blank. What is it?
Arai
Between,
Tomiyashi.
like a connection between okuriashi barai and deashi. Is there anything that ties those together?
Yeah, I can't do a dayashi barai, but I can do an ashi barai, an okuri ashi barai. The distinction is okuri ashi barai catches both legs and you swing them up. A dayashi barai, you catch the one foot coming forward and you knock the one foot out. But it's been my experience that I don't worry about whether it's a dayashi barai or an okuri ashi barai. I just do the sweep. And whatever I get, I get. And then the referee and the judges can go tell the scores what the thing was.
I see.
You have to
No,
do, you have to do
really,
a drill where you're doing those sweeps. So to do a dayashi barai, the guy should be coming forward and he steps on to his foot, and just before he steps on to his lead foot, you take it out with your sweep. I find that difficult to do, but it's doable. What I think is more doable for me is if I can create a circular motion and then sweep with an okuri-ashi barai, or sweep with an okuri-ashi barai when he's coming out of a technique, I can more easily sweep him off his feet.
Do you think there's an advantage to some techniques because your legs are longer and other techniques are more advantageous because your legs are shorter?
Yeah, I do. And I think the general way has to be adjusted to your body style and reaction capability, and you have to find your gentle way. One of the things I would advise is going to see many different technicians and to learn as much from different technicians as you can and develop your own unique skill set. And then the trick is to get into some hard randori and apply that skill set against an opponent who's trying to do the same thing to you.
Yeah. Thank you. Does anyone else have a question about the drills you've just seen?
Well, I have a question.
Yeah, sure. You're on.
Okay, Mr. Bregman, I think you attribute a lot of your ashiwaza to Ishikawa Sensei. Is there anything specific that you relate to him?
All of it.
Okay, thank you.
Bill Montgomery pointed out to me that on YouTube, there is a wonderful, about 40 minutes to an hour presentation that Sensei Ishikawa did that was recorded. And I think if you Google T. Ishikawa on YouTube, you can watch that. And I was fortunate enough for 3 or 4 years as a 12 to 15-year-old to be taught by Sensei Ishikawa. And frankly, what you see here is the legacy he paid forward to me. And I don't do it nearly as well as he did, but I try to imitate it as much as I can.
Thank you. Anyone else have a question for Sensei Bregman?
I do. In your beginning drills where you did the basic step sweep for Dayashi Barai, and you did a side step sweep for okoriashi barai. Do you also do a similar with a pivot okoriashi barai?
Yes, you can. And yes, the answer is yes.
But your pivoting now is not
Well, I've
good
got,
enough to demonstrate.
right. The problem is twofold. The mat moves and my knees aren't 22 years old. So yes, you can do that. Just like we did the Kouchi Dari
Mhm.
turning, you can do that with an ashi barai. It's very similar, yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Sensei,
Yes.
Yeah, go.
what do you do with your hands when you foot sweep? What do you focus on the most?
Okay. That's a very good question. Can you see my hands?
Yes.
Okay. You've got this hand here on the lapel. This hand is on the sleeve. So what I do when I get this grip is I turn my wrists out like this, like I'm driving a car, and I can control my opponent somewhat with this grip. When I do a left sweep, I take this elbow and I move it this way. If I do a right sweep, I take this and I move it this way. So one of the things that I do when I'm practicing this is move my hands like this. Can you see that? So you're driving that elbow or collar to get some momentum. So if I'm going this way, I'm driving the elbow this way, and I'm pulling the opponent up and sweeping him out. If I'm going this way, I'm lifting here and pulling out and sweeping.
Do you try to position yourself directly in front of your opponent? Do you try to get to one side or another for different techniques?
No, I don't think that there's a consciousness about when you do this. You just react because in randori, you're moving around. And I think it's just generally a reaction depending on how your opponent and you are moving. So you're going to be in a lot of different positions when you're doing randori. And depending on what those positions are, then you attack. If you start thinking too much about minute details of what you're trying to do, you're going to be too consciously involved in what you're doing. So what you want to develop over time is automatic reflexes where you don't have to literally think about what's happening. It just happens. And in Japanese, that's called mushin or mindlessness. So you know that you've done an outstanding technique when you don't know that you did the technique. That might not make much sense to most people, but if you throw in a mushin state of mind, you've got him perfectly unbalanced and you have executed the throw so that you're using all of his momentum to take him over or down or whichever way you're going. And you're not intellectually analyzing what's going on. You're blending your activity with his to take advantage of his unbalanced position. And when you throw in that state of mind, it's literally effortless. You don't feel it. The guy or gal just, boom, they go down. And anyway, that's been my experience.
Thank you, Sensei. Anyone else?
My dad would say it's like he's jumping for you.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, this, I don't know if people teach this now, but we used to do this demo, which is called Happon no Kazushi, where you tilted an opponent forward and you tilted him backwards and you tilted him to the side and to the side and then to the other off balance positions. Well, the reality is that was an example of how you off balance in a simplified way. A circle's 360 degrees and you can off balance anybody anywhere along those degrees in that circle. So if you can get a lot of movement going and circular activity going, you can attack in different ways, hopefully with combinations, so that his balance is dramatically disturbed, and then throw. So you do a kocho chimata, and if you hit it perfectly, the guy is in such an off-balance position, he almost jumps over the top of you. You don't really feel it. I can't hear you, Rob. I think your mic's off.
Because my mic was off. And any other questions for Sensei? Well, let me start to head toward the end here. Sensei, is there any advice you could give to typical coaches about moving their athletes who want to go to the next level, up to the next level? What was your advice there? Do they want to practice more, come more often?
Well, I think obviously the more you practice, the better you get. And if you can practice 6 or 7 days a week, that would be amazing. When I was 12 to 15 to 18, I was in the dojo literally 5 to 6 days a week. Now that's probably impractical for most, but if you can get 3 or 4 days in, that's pretty good. And then the other thing is when the student gets to a particular point where you believe they need more activity and more competition, don't be afraid to send them to a more competitive dojo. But judo at the grassroots level is really the basis, in my opinion, on which Olympic teams and world teams are built. And having these kind of drills and making judo fun and enjoyable for the youth is more important than concentrating the youth on winning. Winning is a result of many hours of practice. But if you emphasize the winning, you lose the ability to have fun and enjoy the sport and enjoy the drills and the learning of the activity. So, this is all personal opinion, I would de-emphasize winning and emphasize learning the waza, learning the techniques. And the more you accomplish in mastering the techniques of judo, the winning is a byproduct of all of that training. I think that, and again, this is just my personal opinion, if we have youngsters and teens enjoying the sport and having fun, I think that's more important. And I'm going to get a little philosophical here. Judo teaches patience, perseverance, persistence, perception. it has a lot of other carryover values other than coming home with a medal. So a reporter once asked me after the Olympics, how did it feel to be famous? And I said, well, fame is a very ephemeral thing that's not going to last very long. I got a couple of articles in a couple of newspapers, but that wasn't the point of why I did judo. The reason I did judo was to become a technician and to learn how to do all of these different moves in a technically accurate way so that I could test my skill against opponents to see if I had learned what people like Don Drager and Ishikawa Sensei and major university guys were trying to teach me. So that's just a personal philosophy of mine, but I think that works. And, you know, emphasizing the positive with your students and not being overly critical, particularly if they lose a match. You know, berating a 15-year-old because they lost a match doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense to me.
Okay, thank you.
My philosophy.
Excellent. I'm trying to read in the chat. Yeah, did you open it? I'm sorry. You have a question, but I can't, my eyesight's not that good. I can't quite read it in the chat.
You can do it.
But it was specifically to me. So if you could ask it, I'm willing to do that.
Enjoy randori the most out of judo. I do it because I want to get a gold medal.
Okay.
Okay, that's good. If it's okay to, how skilled a technician was Don Drager?
Oh, I was at Kodokan and I met him there in 1968, and he was a technician and he, of course, skillful, but he was just a guy that could, you'd want him with you in a bar fight, I think. He was one tough dude. Nicest guy I've met besides Sensei Bregman. Sensei Bregman, he's a friend of yours.
Yeah, he was extremely analytical, a great trainer, and a very accomplished judoka. And on top of that, he was a student of the martial arts, was extremely skilled in Jodo, which is stick fighting. He was a combat Marine, and we all know what happens if you're a combat Marine and you get into a fight with a combat Marine. You don't come out looking very good. So both on the mat and off the mat, he was extremely skilled. The other observation about Don Drager, and if you read some of his material, he was a gentleman, a scholar, an organizer, and a very insightful instructor and coach. So yes, he was extremely skilled. Are there any good ashiwaza connections, osai komi or shimiwaza? Yeah. Whenever you throw, you follow it up with mat work. So when you do a throw and you maki komi or not, maki komi is where you fall on top of the person. You instantly follow it up with a hold or a pin, some kind of holding technique, or an arm lock or a choke. So all, not only ashiwaza, but all throws should be followed up with grappling techniques of some kind. And if you're in a competition, there are three people on the mat that you can't trust. There's the referee, the one corner judge, and the other corner judge. because they might not know exactly what you're doing. Now, I'm speaking as a competitor, and judges and referees are my best friends. But when I'm in a contest, I don't want to give them any opportunity to misconstrue what I have just done. I want to make it crystal clear that I threw this person flat on his back for a full point, and now I am holding him or putting an armbar on or putting a choke on, and I expect the referee to call ippon at some point. So you never release an osaikomi or an arm lock or a choke until the referee calls the point. That's a high-level competitive view of judges and referees. And don't make a mistake. I like these guys, but I want them to call the call. And you have to make it crystal clear to them, because if it's ambiguous, you may not like the result that they give you. Try and not make anything ambiguous.
Yeah, any other questions for Sensei?
Yeah. You have anything that works for a pup?
Gary.
Hi, Gary. How are you doing?
She gets involved in every Zoom call. I'm sorry. This is for judo people. I'm a judo person.
I don't know what happened here. Are we out of time or?
Nope. No, we're good till midnight.
Oh, I lost it somehow.
I still see you.
I still see you, Sensei.
Gotcha.
That's good. I can't see anybody now.
Up in the upper right-hand corner, gallery mode or mode.
Okay.
Sensei, I agree with you. I really prefer that the players decide the outcome of the match, not me.
Okay. And who was that speaking? I'm sorry.
Dana Rucker,
Oh, hi, Dan. How are you doing?
doing good, doing good.
Well, Dana, let me ask you this, Dana. From what Sensei said, the referee is going to have a few seconds before the call comes up, correct? Even if it's ippon, right?
Correct, correct.
So it's better to try to still own the person that your competitor.
Yeah.
Going to
Yeah, as a referee, I'm going through the progression. I'm watching all the way to the mat, and my brain says, ippon, yes or no. If the answer is yes, I call ippon. If the answer is no, I say wazari, yes or no. If the answer is wazari, I call the wazari. That shouldn't take more than 2 or 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And especially in a situation where it's not quite an ippon, it's a wazari, but it goes to an osaikomi. It's very important to make sure you get it right. Yes, Gary.
Did you ever hear the story of the battle between God and the devil on the judo mat?
No, but I'm afraid I'm getting ready to.
Well, I said, I got everyone from Mifune to you name them on my team. You don't have a chance. And the devil said, well, I got all the referees.
I got all the referees. Yeah. All I can say is I really do not want to be the deciding factor in any match.
Thank you. Any other questions for Sensei?
This is great. I like the beard.
Yeah. This is a result of sheltering in place.
You look like my rabbi.
Yeah.
Did you get my Judan certificate?
Yeah, I think I did. Yeah, I want to thank you all very much for participating. And I hope that you can pass these drills on to your students and that they enjoy them and learn some skills. So thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Just for those who came later, this is being recorded. I hope we've done a good job, meaning me. I'll put it up on Facebook to go to YouTube. That's our plan. I mentioned this in the beginning, but we had quite a few more people come. Sensei Bregman is leading an effort to put more Zoom conferences on. There's one next week about legal aspects of coaching and being a coach. Sensei Donaldson is coming on to talk about refereeing, as is Jason Morris and Steve Cohen. We have several others lined up over the next few months, and hopefully keep this going after the COVID issue is resolved. Sensei, any closing words?
Yes, I would encourage you all to participate in these Zoom sessions and then hold Zoom sessions with your diligent participants so that we can keep judo alive even though we're social distancing. So it's been a pleasure, and I hope this has been somewhat informative for you.
Congratulations, Rob. You had 75 people on this. This is the biggest Zoom I've been on so far.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. Nice.
And how will we get the information for those other sessions?
I will post them. I'm working under the direction of Sensei Bregman. I'm working with the individuals who are going to do this. I will put up notices on Facebook about 3 weeks ahead. We have one that's coming up next week. Bobby Donaldson's is in the process. I'll put those up. I perhaps will have a better way of notifying everyone as we move forward and gain more experience. But right now, the short answer to your question is we'll put them up on the USJA Facebook page. We'll put them up on the Judo Coaches Way Facebook page, and Miki Takamori and her husband John push that out as some other folks do. So that's our plan at this moment.
So if you all can put the message out when it hits the JA site or my Facebook page or Shufu Judo Yudanchikai, we would really appreciate it. Kind of hard to get the notifications out.
Yeah. So, thank you very much for coming, everyone. Had a great time.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, Rob.
Guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Glad to be of help.
Bregman. Thank you, Mr. Riley.
Sensei Bregman is leading a great effort.
See ya.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Sensei. Have a good night.
Thank you, Sensei Bregman.